Alright, folks. So, let's talk a bit about this Yordenis Ugas versus Errol Spence pay-per-view tonight. Let's preview some of the fights on the card. Now, I'm out of town. I'll be back tonight to watch the fight, and I'll probably do a post-fight review about 1 a.m. in the morning. But, yeah, I'm out of town right now. I'm going to be back home tonight. And I've kind of just been taking a hiatus, to be honest, away from boxing online because, I don't know, I kind of needed a big fight like this to get my motivations back up. But I kind of do have the motivations to talk a bit more about this event now because this is a fight I've been looking forward to for a fair bit of time. Now, to put it simply, one of the main reasons I've been looking forward to this fight is the uncertainty. Now, that can be both interpreted as good and as a negative. In one sense, it improves the overall parity of the fight, in which case I think both guys have a pretty good chance of winning the fight. Now, this is also could be attributed as a negative because of the fact that Errol Spence's career has been hampered with injuries, and also has been hampered with the fact that, you know, the DUI, the car accident, and the injury before the Manny Pacquiao fight, plus the inactivity, has taken away, potentially could take away, the career and the potential of a very, very talented fighter, which Errol Spence clearly is. Very, very good boxer, very versatile fighter, great jab, all that, extremely well conditioned. And Yordenis Ugas, he does get his chance. He's not really proven to necessarily be the cream of the crop, the elite at the division, because, you know, you can point to the Pacquiao fight and say, well, Pacquiao was 41, 42 years old, but he's been able to compete with and go pretty much 50-50 with Sean Porter, though I thought Porter won the fight. And he also has some decent names under his record, Delorme, and he also holds a win over Jamal James and people like that. Has since beaten like Abel Ramos and Mike Dallas and people like that, and Figueroa. So Ugas earned his title shot, earned his stripes, and now has the chance to win 3 titles. And Spence, he's more proven in the division, has beaten Sean Porter, beat him more convincingly than Ugas did in my opinion. Won 7 rounds, scored a knockdown, has shown numerous different methods in regards to his fighting style. He's shown the ability to box from range, as we saw against Danny Garcia. Mikey, you can't really take much from it because Mikey is diminutive, but Spence has improved his jab and improved his long-range boxing ability, and I think that's going to work very key in this fight against Ugas, as he does have the longer reach, and I think Ugas is going to have trouble fighting within his construct, knowing what Spence can do with his ranginess. And Spence is also very good on inside exchanges, as he was able to fend off a hard-charging, active, quicker Sean Porter with his short, compact, tight, and technically sound punch technique and his hooks on the inside and his body shots. He's shown the conditioning to pretty much fight all 12 rounds at a rapid pace. Ugas, he doesn't really fight at a very rapid pace. He likes to take things slow, which is something he's going to have to manage in this fight, how to control the tempo of the fight and mitigate Spence's punch output, because Spence is the A-side in this fight, but he also makes himself extremely difficult to defeat, because not only can he control range, he throws a lot of shots himself. So coming into the fight looking to just outwork him, even if you can't really land super clean on him, it's a very difficult style to beat Spence with, because he's very adaptable inside of the ring. And in this fight, though, what I will say is, one of the big questions is how sharp is his punch is going to be. How accurate is he going to be? Will his conditioning be the same? Because he did tail off a little bit in the Danny Garcia fight. Will he have to exert himself as much? And will Ugas garner Spence's respect, like some say the Danny Garcia fight did? And I don't think he can. But what Ugas can do is increase his punch output. He can fight to a lower center of gravity if he can't outbox Spence from the outside, which I don't really think he can. And he can work Spence's body, and he can keep him off. He could potentially target that eye because, you know, and there's been some people who've questioned the credibility of Spence's eye injuries, which I just can't really see. He's looking at his eye, you know, that got injured. He's clearly had one, if not multiple, operations on that eye, stemming from the car accident, where he basically had to get a full facial surgery, and obviously the injury itself, he probably had multiple operations on it. There's an abundance of scar tissue, and could that potentially be a problem for Errol in this fight? I don't know, maybe. So that's something to really watch for. But for me, if I had to make a tentative prediction, I would go with Errol Spence to win by decision. I think his punch output is going to be a bit too much for Ugas to be able to overcome over the course of the fight. I think his jab is going to be difficult for Ugas to defend from, and I don't think his range of motion stemming from his slower feet is going to allow him to get away from Spence if Spence does opt to pressure or use his feet himself. So I think that I personally would pick Errol Spence to win this fight. Though if he is a shell of his former self, if his punch output decreases, if his stamina doesn't show up the same, that's going to allow for Ugas to garner several opportunities. And Ugas has shown good conditioning himself. He came on late in the fight against Manny Pacquiao and had a good last few rounds, from what I remember. Had some problems in the middle rounds, but yeah, I think Spence is going to win here. Now, let's go to the undercard. We have Radzab Butayev versus Imentis Stanionis, which is a very good, I guess, co-main event. I like Butayev to win this fight. I like him to win comfortably, stop Stanionis late in the fight, likely by a referee intermission. Stanionis, I don't really rate him too highly. I think he's a fun pressure fighter whose physical gifts in regards to his very stocky frame and his body punching allow for him to be an exciting and difficult matchup in certain instances, but he had a very tough fight with a rather faded Thomas Delorme. He didn't exactly have it all his own way with Justin Deloach. And, I mean, the Delorme fight, he very possibly could have lost that fight. Like, I don't think many people would have complained if Delorme had gotten the decision. So, for people who cite a bit more of a disparate style matchup, which was the Alexander Besputin versus Radzab Butayev fight, where Butayev was largely outboxed from the outside, a lot of people will cite that and say, well, Butayev really isn't that good, but once again, disparate styles. And Delorme is someone who at least has a similar method of fighting, and he was able to smother a lot of Stanionis' work. And the way I see it, why can't Butayev do the same? For me, honest, I just see Stanionis getting broken down to the body, getting smothered. I see him having a very difficult time blocking Butayev's body shots, and I see Butayev scoring a late stoppage. Personally, I think he's the better fighter. I think he's got better defense. I think he's got a better variance of punches, and I think his hand speed is a little bit quicker. So I got Butayev scoring a stoppage in that fight. Late on, 10th, 11th round, something like that. Isaac Cruz versus Yordenis Gamboa. I hope Gamboa suffers a horrific career-ending knockout, but he fully recovers. Because I'm tired of seeing this guy get recycled like a fucking used prostitute. It's embarrassing. But yeah, Cruz is going to stop him late on, or maybe go to a decision, because Isaac Cruz, he's someone who tends to fight in bursts, and Gamboa has some. His durability, I guess, has come back into form because he's gained a fair bit of... Gamboa is someone who's added a bit more punch resistance, similar to like Kudryashov, because he's gained more weight. He's come into the fights a lot more fleshy. So I guess the weight cut contributed a lot to, I guess, his lackluster punch resistance at those lower weight divisions. But yeah, he's not gonna have the energy. He's not gonna have the punch output. He's just an absolute shell of himself, and I hope to God he retires. Jose Valenzuela versus Francisco Vargas, I think. Yeah. Valenzuela, to stop him mid to late on accumulation. I think he'll do a better job on him than Isaac Cruz did, unless he shows a bit of faults in his stamina, which I don't think he has. He was a little bit confused and a little bit lost for himself in the Denier Barrio fight. But I think in this fight where Vargas is going to be aggressive and coming for him and standing in front of him, I think his energy levels, I think his punch variance and his power and cumulative punching is going to be just too much. And I think he'll stop him late in the fight. Or maybe middle rounds, because, I mean, Vargas is definitely way past his prime. I just hope Vargas comes out of this fight okay, because that dude has taken his share of beatings. And it doesn't stop here. So, probably, unless he retires. But I'm hoping he makes quick work out of him. And that's that. So, yeah, those